away from the player. We see release patterns where the handle's back here by the right leg, adding loft a lot of times, versus you can see if I take the elbow pit up, I move that closer to midline right there, where I have this on the shirt. You can see what that would do, both from a swing direction standpoint, easier to go into out, and also from a de-loft standpoint with the grip being in front of the club head. All right, what's going on, everybody? Hope this video finds you well. Got a cool piece in here relating to the trail elbow, which also relates to the shoulder, that relates quite a bit to how the forearms move and how the face actually moves. So when I look at a lot of the players that I coach right here, so you can see I've got this band here on my arm. I've got a T put in it, so it's going to show me the direction for this video so you can actually see where the pit of my elbow is facing. So me teaching, I see a lot of players who struggle with getting the trail arm stuck behind their seam line, like this line I have here on the shirt. They get the elbow moving behind it. Okay? I think understanding the direction of where we actually want to have an anatomical piece in space might actually help shed some light to some people on what the elbow and what the arm structure, what the shoulder is supposed to do, and how it actually relates to the golf club. So if I start in here from face on, if I go internal rotation of the shoulder, you can see the direction that my elbow moves, even if I'm rotating the forearm. Okay, so when the shoulder moves internally here, this T would start to point down. Okay? So the same thing's going to happen throughout our motion. If we're the player and we start in here in internal rotation, we pull this back, you can see the T right here is pointing down towards the golf ball. So a lot of times what this causes the player to do is this becomes a shortening of the trail arm, which then, if we look at this from a radius standpoint, this a lot of times can start to shorten the radius, makes it harder for us to get back to the golf ball without creating some sort of a compensative move. Can cause, I mean, heck, anywhere from over the top, can be too far under, thin shots, added loft at impact. That's one of the big ones that I would say that I see right there. So I think just understanding directionally where we want the arm or the elbow in relation to the shoulder movement throughout our motion might help shed some light to a lot of you and what we're looking for. Because we hear a lot of words: external rotation, internal rotation, supination, pronation, which all that stuff's great, but I think for the consumer a lot of times is understanding an actual anatomical point and where we want it to be directed and how that's going to change the face. So right here, if I go internal shoulder rotation, we can see what that did to the face. Whereas if I start in external shoulder rotation, this almost becomes sort of a radius lock, even though the angle right here is bending, but it allows us to contract the tricep a little bit, even though we're creating an upward bend here and we're creating a hinge. This, from face on now, you can see how much wider that point would be than this. So this is a big factor in width, controlling the radius, and also controlling what the club face does. So the way that I refer it to a lot of players that I coach, and what I would say to you, is start here with the elbow pit up. So you can see the T right here. I've got the T up. Okay? I might even start with just one hand, run it here to P2. We can see the T is still up. Where P3 would be, we can see the T is still up. At the top, I can see the T is still up. On the way down, the T is still up. Impact, the T is still up. Post impact, the the tee is still up. And even here at 9, the tee is still up right there. Okay, so we could basically say throughout our motion, keeping the trail elbow up might be a way that would help us comprehend how the trail arm structure works a little bit better, helping us to create width, and then helping us to stabilize the face and keep width in throughout our motion. Okay, now if we look at what I see a lot of players do, they go tee down, tee in and down, more down, way down. If you look at that from face on, now we have a choice with the direction we want to move. Either A, we can come over for contact, or B, we might come a little bit more under the plane to try and create a little bit more hand speed. So I think the elbow has a big piece to do with how the club travels in space in the backswing here. So one of the ways that I like to drill this, if this is a new concept for you, one, it's going to feel different. It should look a lot different on film. If we take the seam line that I have here on this shirt, we shouldn't see the elbow joint going behind it. We should see it stays in front for the majority of the time. We would also see from face on, we would see the elbow sitting closer to the midline of the player. So that'd be the elbow closer to the midline of the player versus away from the player. Away from the player, we see release patterns where the handle's back here by the right leg, adding loft a lot of times, versus, you can see if I take the elbow pit up, and I move that closer to midline right there, like where I have this on the shirt, you can see what that would do both from a swing direction standpoint, easier to go into out, and also from a de-loft standpoint with the grip being in front of the club head. So if this is a concept that's new to you, that's probably the place that I would start from an exaggeration standpoint, is placing the elbow more on the midline and actually hitting shots from there. So we'd go elbow on the midline. I might even mimic where impact is. And what we would see and what we would feel here is we would feel like this is a windshield wiper, okay, as the trail arm is moving into more adduction from AB to AD, adduction, across the chest versus internally rotating like this. So we'd go here. I'm going to start off doing a half one. So I'm going to take my setup. I'm going to place the elbow. You can see I've got the tee up. Okay, that's now on my midline, pressure's forward. I'm going to punch one out there halfway. So it'd be here. And that would be me kind of punching that through. And you can see at the finish, I still have the elbow pit up right there. Okay, so this is a way that we can actually start to create and learn what does it feel like down at least through the hitting area of having the elbow up. Then you can start to film yourself, start on midline, run it through 2, up to 3, up to 4, face it, you can turn and look at it and see where the actual tee is, hold it for a few seconds to bring awareness to it, and kind of run through what a downswing would feel like and what does it look like and feel like over here on the through side of the arc to keep that up. So I think this is one of our most effective visual tools. Even just having something simple like this on your arm is going to bring awareness neurologically to where the elbow is, which means the shoulder's in a different spot. And it's probably going to change the direction and how the club moves in the downswing and in the backswing as it moves eventually to impact right there. So, but I would start with contact drills going set up, okay, elbow forward, tee up, so the elbow pit is up, pressure forward, there's my impact, rehearse it back, tees up, bring it back down, tees up, and work it through to where the tee is up. Being here, I'm gonna give it a go. And there's more what that would start to look like. So I think starting to feel what it's actually like to have this elbow in this position down at impact is a very, very useful tool that we can then start to build on and design the route further out. Once we understand what it feels like at our starting point, at our destination or our finish point, then it gives us the ability to design the rest of the route a heck of a lot easier once we know what that feels like. So let's start there, understand where the elbow sits, how we move that in space, keeping it up inside of more external rotation there. We can start to design something, I'd say, pretty cool from there. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions whatsoever, please leave those in the comments down below. I'll make sure to get back to each and every one of you. Appreciate your support. Thank you for watching. See you next time. I hope you enjoyed this video here. If you haven't, please click that subscribe button. You can also click the bell right there, and that's going to notify you every time that I release a new YouTube video. Also, if you haven't, check out that last video that I did. It's right here, pinned to the screen. Thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave those below, and I will make sure I get back to each and every one of you. So, thank you again. Appreciate your support. We'll see you next time.